didn't take that one serious.
I don't know.
Because Terry's arm movement, bro.
Switch it up. Switch that up.
Sweet.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, just go for it.
So, welcome back to Short Back and Sides Show, episode 7. This one's going to be a big topic one. So, hence, we have the script and all. But before we get into that, so today, we've split in half. So, we've got the doc, Trife, and myself, just for this one, P.
No pleasure today.
No pleasure today.
pleasure
Topic's
today.
a bit serious for
We
that.
can't be pleasuring.
Can't be
today.
pleasuring during this. So look, I think firstly, before we jump into it, we've had a couple of videos released now.
Yeah.
Got some feedback that's been coming across to all of us and that. So firstly, thanks for the feedback. We know some of the topics we've been talking about has been a bit controversial in some points. One of the things I think is fair for us to say is that these are our viewpoints. We're open to challenges. And as this thing progresses, what we're hoping to do is to bring people into the show where you can test things. So anything you've heard previously, make a note of it.
Yeah.
Follow, like, subscribe, SBAS _
Show.
on YouTube, Instagram,
Twitter. We're on everything. We're there.
so
Spotify.
Yes, you can also listen in your ears just in case you like the therapeutic sounds of the doc. So, video for movement, bro.
True, I made no sound there.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, we get the gist. So, yeah, just follow us. Keep sending us the feedback. Not all of it's love. That's fine. We'll take all of it. So, guys, going to talk about men's mental health today.
Big one.
Big one.
Okay, so what I've done is I'm going to do my my thanks. So I've stolen a report. I say stolen because nobody from the group or organization has allowed me to do this. But this is from the Priory.
Mr. HR.
Mr. HR, yes, we call it stealing with pride. So for this episode, I've actually looked at a report from the Priory group.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I've done that is because this was actually dated 2023.
Okay.
Some of the other
really
reports that I
recently,
came
yeah.
across were sort of
It definitely is
2021.
after, obviously, COVID and lockdown and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight into it. So I guess, guys, as we're talking about men's mental health, what does that mean to you guys individually?
Basically, my well-being, how I am, like what I'm thinking. It just kind of draws down to everything I do. Because without that, what do you have? It kind of drives you, your moods, like just puts you where you need to be, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the foundation of us, really, isn't it? Because just like you said, your mental state is what provides the foundation, and everything about you kind of builds on top of that. Like how you know, if your mood is a certain way, what you will see one day as something positive, the next day, if your mood isn't great, you'll see as a negative. It kind of gives us our perception in the world, and kind of is what allows us to function. It kind of is that cornerstone even before physical strength, really.
Yeah.
I sometimes say that actually it's more so mental fortitude or mental strength that allows you to be strong physically. Without the mental fortitude, you can't
Exactly.
get that strength.
Cool. I think the only thing I'd add on to that, I think the thing about mood as well is quite a big one. I think for me, it's the drive and motivation as well. So how I actually take on a challenge,
Yeah.
an obstacle or something like that. I think that's where I really feel my test in that. So some of the statistics. So this is from the group that actually completed a survey. Now, if I'd actually read the whole thing, I would have known how many people took it, but I don't. But I will use percentages that were referenced.
Facts.
So, out of the group that was spoken to and completed the survey, 40% of those men have never spoken to anyone about their mental health.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it doesn't at all.
So, out of that 40%, 29% of them were too embarrassed to say anything, and 20% of them said that there is a negative stigma around men's mental health.
How do you want to do this? You want to read your stats, or do you want us to comment after like your
So
stats?
what it is, there's a bit of a mixture. So some of them I'll give you questions.
Okay.
Some of them I'll just kind of read through. So yeah,
Cool.
thank you for that. So I guess, have any of you felt the need to keep something back, and why?
I have, definitely. I just think, again, it's kind of like boils down to two things for me. It's more like, I know everyone's got loads of shit on. So am I burdening them by giving them, obviously, like my struggles and stuff like that? Am I being selfish by like, obviously, when you call one of your mates and stuff like that, am I just kind of burdening the conversation? Like it's me. So that always comes to the back of my head. And then another part of that is, and they can think I'm an idiot because I feel a certain way about certain things. So again, I think with me, I only speak to a few people where I feel I've got that relationship and I kind of trust them. They're not going to look down on me or just kind of judge me for that, basically.
Yeah.
But again, if that kind of small pool of people weren't available, I'd probably keep it in, which is bad because I think for me, it's just a trust thing.
Can I? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I just pull back? Because obviously you said, one of the things you said was, would people think I'm an idiot?
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
As in, if something, like, obviously we all react to different things. So a different situation might be, you might think is a minor and I might not see it as a minor. Yeah. And so would you think I'm an idiot for thinking like that?
Yeah.
Or would you think I'm childish, blah, blah, blah. So all those kind of things, because one of my, I won't say bad traits is, but one of my traits that I've kind of have had to deal with is I overthink everything, every scenario, like it plays out again to me and again and again. And that's been really bad for my mental health certain times.
It's interesting because in one of the episodes, not that I've been listening to everything you say, but in one of the episodes, you actually said you have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
Like you become quite addictive. So that's probably one of the traits then that
yeah.
you reckon that's okay. That's interesting. That as soon as you said that, I was thinking it.
Yeah. Cool. So that's for me anyway, personally.
Yeah. I think for me, it's that thing. So it's really, things are getting slowly better, but it's really not the done thing for a man to, first of all, and lots of people be receptive to it, to express his feelings and to say how a situation is, or even if they feel a bit unsure in the moment, which we all do because we're human.
Yeah.
There's always this, I feel like this, it might not be said, some people do say it blatantly, but it might not be said, but there's this kind of aura of a man needs to be like a demigod. He needs to be like invincible, bulletproof, he needs to be 7'8", you know.
Minimum.
He needs to like make 500k a week. He needs to be like 500k a week, you know, never be unwavering in a decision, you know. And realistically, it's just not realistic. You know, that's not who we are. We're human beings at the end of the day. And I think, therefore, there is this pressure that is there amongst all men and amongst, you know, most people. I think an interesting thing that recently happened, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was this woman who, I'm calling her a woman, but she transitioned to a man.
Okay.
James, I can't remember the surname of head now. And he went viral because he was crying over the internet. After making the transition, he was talking about actually, he's realized how challenging it is being a man. The fact that it's lonely, you can't really talk to people. The moment he became a man, like everybody took space and distance. He used to have conversations. He said he used to be closer to women in the bathroom when he was a girl. He did open about everything. He goes, now he's a man. Like,
don't chat to me in the
don't
bathroom.
chat to me. People cross the street. No one wants to make eye contact. That's
exactly how it is, man.
And I think what was interesting about that is a lot of the comments, a lot of people were saying, a lot of the guys were going straight in and saying, man up, you know, X, Y, and Z. But I think it was a good example because I think the male experience and the female experience are very, very different.
Yes.
And I think it was a good example of kind of somebody who's come from a place where it was perhaps easier to be able to express themselves and gone into a place where you're a man now. So as the saying goes, man up.
Man up.
Yeah.
I think when I put that personally onto myself, I think that it's it's challenging because there are times where your mood's higher, your mood's lower, and there are times where you face. I think everybody does face those personal struggles. I think I agree in a lot of what you were saying. I find it's two-tone in the sense that I feel like for me the pressure to be the person means that I tend to keep more stuff in and figure out I'm going to find a way myself. I think that's the first thing. And I do agree again with what you said, T, that it's also that thing of, is that like small potatoes? Am I like looking at this thing thinking this is huge and really it's small? That makes sense. And I think as from our perspective as well as, being black, being, coming from an ethnic minority, with even more so a marginalized group, like the opportunities, the things we have to climb through, is that little bit more challenging. So just from a statistic standpoint, because we have to face more barriers and more obstacles, I feel like it's that little bit tougher for us. And I think what's a double whammy is I think even in our community, we're probably even worse at opening up and chatting and, having that and really having open conversations about our mental health.
Get a nickname if you fuck about, innit?
Yeah.
Trust me.
Worry Terry.
You know that, innit? Label for life.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's true.
I think one of the things to add on to that, I find, because I have to deal with a lot of mental health in my work. Through like people's absences and stuff. And I think there's a perception that for people in my sort of line of work, and I'd imagine this will be the same for people in the NHS and all that who deal with it, that we are just programmed that we can function for it. So it's like often I'm labeled as being quite cold, insensitive, etc., non-emotional. And actually, there are those kind of occasions where actually, you know what?
Certain things hit you.
Things do hit me. So like we can't process because the immediate people around you are looking for you for like immediate action or response. So there's a perception there that you're just cold or whatever. And then you get home and then I think the perception kind of becomes the same because people know what you do. So I think the perception point is quite big on this as well.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
So in the survey, I know deep breaths, innit?
Yeah,
it's kind of like
hit me already.
But so when these men were surveyed, they were asked kind of like, what's the biggest concerns? What was causing stress or anxiety? And the top three was work, finances, and their own personal health.
Totally get that.
So with that list in mind, is there any of those specifically that reach out to you or you feel? And then B, are there anything you think is missing?
I think personally that probably covers it as kind of general broad kind of topics. Do I think anything's missing from that list? Top of my head. So sorry, can you just
so the things that cause stress?
Stress, yeah.
Yeah. So what causes potential stress and anxiety?
Finances.
So it's work, finances, and health. Health. Sorry.
I would say relationships.
Relationships. Yeah, I was going to put relationships. Like
we know about you, Terry. Yours are different. We both had a different thing.
Yeah, relationships because you're just thinking. I don't know.
We know what you're thinking.
Right. Should I be somewhere further? Like you see other people and certain things.
Ooh, okay, that's a good one.
Should I be somewhere else at my age? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that?
I'm gonna have to pull you on that. Why is that related to the relationship? Is that not?
No, just in terms of like, so obviously finances and stuff like that. Are you where you should be? So I look at things. The way I look at things is, should I, like, I'm about to turn 40. I've literally taken some time out just to have a look at myself, like reflect on things. You just ask yourself those questions: Should I be there? Should I be married? Should I be having kids? Should I? All these kind of questions. And so,
is there a prompt for you? Because you say you took. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You say you took time out for that. Was there a prompt for you to do that, or is that something you do sort of like?
I think because before I turned 30, I kind of had a mid. I don't know what you call it. It's not midlife.
We were going to live many years.
Wait, I was going to say, hopefully.
Crisis.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I had. And then
1/10.
I started exactly. So I had like a bit of a mad. I was just wilding out basically. And so before I turned 40,
I don't know why I started jiving there.
so I was saying, no, before I turned 40, I just thought, let me just sit down, reflect, and see where I could, what my achievements have been, what I could have done better at, and how can I get better, basically. And so, obviously, those kind of questions are going to come up, and so that's what I've kind of been reflecting on. And then, if I wasn't a person where I'm kind of grateful for where I am, and from like, there's loads of people I've kind of grew up with, and I've known that I haven't got to my age, and so I kind of take that as a positive. And so if I didn't take that as a positive, I could be thinking, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? But end of the day, people could be in them situations and not be happy. So that's another way you got to look at it.
I think it's the grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's always that thing, because in our mind, we say, or I know I don't want to sweep for everybody, but in my mind, I'll always say, if I get that thing, I'll be happy. I get that thing, I completely forgot that was my base goal.
Yeah.
And now I'm saying, but if I get this thing, that thing, and that thing, I'll be happy. And then what you don't realize is you're just on a perpetual cycle of chasing. And actually, I think us as individuals, I'm terrible for it, don't take enough time to actually stop and process and say, yo, Don, look where you're at, look where you're there. Because you came from Hessa and you're now here. Like, take some moment to appreciate that. I think where I'm definitely guilty for this, I can get in my head and just think, oh, but you know, at this age,
you should be doing,
be doing that. I should be this place. I should have got that. I should be at this part in my career, you know. And I look at my peers, and that part, it's like parts of my brain. There's a part of my brain that would say, but look at your peers, you know, like the people you went to university with, they may be at this level now, and at that, like for example, I look at where I'm in my career. I've kind of been a bit higgledy-piggledy with what I want to do, not to bore you guys and where I'm at. But people who have gone to university with me, if I compare myself to the majority of them, like line for line, lots of them have progressed a lot further than I have. Yeah. And I know the logical part of my brain goes on, and I say, well, that's because, you know, I've got kids. That's because, you know, also
additional studying.
Yeah, additional studying, you know, things like that. And also, I've got to be honest, you know, my life isn't the same as most of the people in university. Lots of those guys, don't want to be bad, but they've got 2-parent homes, you know, their kids, they were set on the right path from the beginning. They went to good school, you know, so they learned a lot from that infrastructure and that support network. Whereas me, you know, when you don't have someone above you kind of guiding you, you kind of take a step and you realize, shit, that hurts. Don't do that one. And, you know, so you kind of waste a bit more time going like that.
On the way.
Yeah. Whereas other people are just like that, if that makes sense. So there's that part of your brain where I can easily put on and be like, oh man, I should have done this by now and done that. But I think for myself, I always just put it into gear and just say, you know what, just like I said, you just got to take stock of where you're at.
Exactly
like when I look at, I think what you said was beautiful. When I look at, it's kind of bad to use it as a barometer, but when I look back to school days, the people I went to school with, bruv, a bag of them are, rest in peace, a bag of them are dead. Yeah. A lot of them are in prison, and like none of them are anywhere near as a career-wise have got to where I am. So it's those kind of points you have to reference and say, deep breath, we keep moving kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got kind of a saying for that as well. Like, you're looking at other people, like for example, you can look at someone in the gym and they could be a lot bigger than you, but you like don't know what they're putting in their protein shake. You get me? Get me?
Anyone that's bigger than you is taking steroids.
Exactly.
This is not the time. This is not confession. Usher is not playing, bro. And Kieran referenced his markup too, you know. I'm just saying. But just okay. So, two things, because the pressure, guys, that you talked about in terms of when you compare yourself to the peer group, people around you. I was very tempted to jump in and say what peer group, but obviously you outlined actually 3 different peer groups. So you got your school education group. Yeah. Probably as a side part of that, there's probably the environmental group around you, so the area that ends, and then like you say, uni, and because that is a different kettle of people.
Completely different kettle.
and then even the work group. So do you think? I got 2 questions. One for you specifically, one for all of us. Do you think that adds additional pressure? Because I sometimes look at it as to where I'm from, the background, etc. And you're right. And I think the reason I'm pausing here, I want to say we're unique as a group of people, But actually, I think we're unique as a group of people to say that there's not many of our backgrounds or upbringings that make it as far as we have. Do you think that's additional pressure that we put on ourselves? Or is that, this is the bit I think is a bit deep, is it the environments we're in today that puts that pressure for us to even consider that a thought process? Because why do we think that?
Do you know what it is? I think it's both. I think it's pressure we put on ourselves and pressure society puts on you.
Yeah.
I think when I look at myself in my surroundings, I think I always find it quite funny in the sense that I feel I am around lots of people, but I'm alone, if that makes sense. So when I work, there is nobody like me.
You only see yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. Like, so I don't really fit in there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I can't like just not like fit in like a jigsaw puzzle. If I then look back at till kind of the ends where I grew up from and that culture, I've changed too much and I don't fit in there.
Yeah, identify that. Yeah, definitely.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So
only visually.
So I'm in this kind of real kind of like no man's land really, where I don't fit in a particular group. So although I can be around lots of people, I have to say I feel like my day to day is actually probably quite lonely. I don't step into a bracket and I'm embraced by everybody. Like, oh yeah, welcome back. You know. So I feel like that there's a pressure that I feel like from society that is there. Like, oh, so how are you going to fit in? And when I first started off, I think a big part of my head was I've got to fit in. I've got to fit in. I've got to be like this John Smith kind of character. And as I've matured and grown, I've realized actually, no. I'm unique. The elements about me is what makes me me. And I will get a skin fade. I will put a line in my hair. You know, I will do things that are from my...
Do you know what? They can't see that. There we go. I was going to say, man, we can't see it. And that's not even an audio issue.
Fresh trim. So I will do things like that and go to work. And when I talk to people, they'll be like, oh yeah, well, so he actually is an intelligent guy. You know, he's here and I'm looking at him, he doesn't fit the role. And I hope by doing that, I kind of also kind of teach people who may have those assumptions in their head, like, oh shit, I need to check myself because
100.
I looked at this Don and thought, you know, he was something else, the cleaner, or I heard all of it, bruv. You're the cleaner, you know, all caretaker, of the titles, caretaker, everything apart from being a doctor, I hear. And when you talk to them, they're like, oh, you see it in their face, like, oh, bro. So I do think I've gone this kind of sideways. I do think there's like pressure. I think I would say personally I put on myself.
Yeah.
And that pressure from society to kind of almost fit in a box. What box are you? What box are you? That makes sense.
No, 100%. I totally second that.
So I'm going to come back to you for one question because I think all of us can kind of chip in. But one that you may jump on as well. In terms of one of the things that stresses me out is actually my kids and setting them up for the future. I don't know why, and I know you're fortunately not in that place right now, but that one, literally, there's two things I want to achieve. One is the kids are set up and they have options. Okay, so I'm not killing myself to say they need to have the best of things and all that. I want them to have options. And the second thing is I do want to think about retirement when I get to a certain point before 55. Not retire before, but I want to be thinking about it. So the kids one is the one that really gets me because I see them every day. I see them every morning. And it's almost to the point where I think I almost put that pressure on them, even though they have nothing at this point. One is 8, one is 2.5. They can't contribute to that, really, apart from focus on studies with the 8-year-old. And I can see myself at times, I don't take it out on them. I'm not like, you know, Beyonce's dad or nothing. Like that. But like, you need to make it because I didn't.
Joe Jackson.
No. I said I don't beat my kids. We saw the last episode.
We covered that.
Hey. No, but like that's something I see every day, and I think whilst it's amazing because sometimes it does put me down.
Yeah.
When I feel like I haven't done something specific for them. But then at other times it's a beautiful thing. I'm taking your phrase because you say it a lot. It's a beautiful thing when I see them achieve something minor that sets them up. I mean, to the point, me and baby mummy were talking today, and this is going to sound really bad, but do you remember we used to have championship manager?
Yeah, I still play that football.
I was thinking that. So
man, I remember days where I play Championship Manager, fall asleep on the laptop, wake up, and just continue that game. Like
That's
it was
the
like,
one.
didn't
I do that
move.
still.
The only thing I did was go toilet and yam food, come back. That's why I can't play Championship Manager, because it consumes you.
But you know
The
what?
Trev thing.
Oh, yeah.
I won't ask. But one of the things I was saying this morning, so my son asked for Formula One Manager. There's a Formula One version.
Yeah.
So I went in his room, bruv. Honestly, I saw the screen and it's worse than this thing behind the camera, bruv. I was just like, what the fuck is going on there?
With the one manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's intense, bruv.
That's
Tires and everything.
insane.
Yeah. So he'd asked for this. So I was watching him and I was just like, I don't know what you're doing, bro. Anyway, we've put his thing in the kitchen. So he was playing it there. My wife's like, what is he doing? Yeah. So I was like, oh, he's just doing this thing. And I said, let him do it. Because actually the life skills that he's having in terms of management, so he's managing people, he's managing resources, he's managing finances. So I'm there like, go make a future, son. Just go do it. You better win the championship. I don't give a fuck. You better come on with that title. And he's like, Dad, I think I've got the constructions title on the... I don't know what the fuck that means, but bring it home, son. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I find that bit quite stressful for myself.
I think you touched, and I'm going to say it again, on a beautiful point. Like, honestly, for me, I think my life, especially at the beginning, as challenging as it was, the one thing I took away from the beginning portion of my life is legacy. I really wanted to, to make huge changes so that my kids' lives would be different. I kind of saw my life as like the...
Test.
Yeah, I kind of see myself as a stepping stone. Like the kids are going to step on my back and my
Correct.
shoulders, and
Correct.
I can go through all the pain. Like I've been through it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of, my whole vision was to take all of that pain and stuff with me and allow my kids to almost grow up as beautiful and as
Can I jump in on
yeah,
that?
of course.
One of the things, do you know what? I can't reach you to fist bump you, but one of the things I want is that the only mistakes they make is their own doing, not
Yeah.
ones that the environment we created
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that.
No,
So
yeah.
that is...
200%.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no,
but-
that's fine, exactly. And for me, that's why I agree with you 100%. My biggest stress is them. Like I'm constantly in my head, and I know I'm doing it, thinking about like that links with that.
I can see your brain.
Yeah, like that they've got to get them to that stage for this stage for that stage. And it does definitely. And I think that's, and I was going to say to you, because you mentioned a really good point where you say sometimes you feel bad as a parent, but I think that feeds into the fact that shows, as far as I'm concerned, that you're a good and responsible parent. We're not perfect at the end of the day. We'd love to be, but we're not. And we're going to do things and then reflect back on it later and be like, my intentions were this and they were good, but it may have come across that way. And I think for me, I've always, as much as I feel like their brains will allow, have tried to have a really open dialect with them about things. And especially because they're boys, like boys and girls are different. And I feel like because of that, I've tried to have a real open and honest dialect. Like an important thing I touched on recently. So one of my boys, my eldest son, really, really smart, but he can be quite lazy. So I have to really stay on him with his studies and everything. But he bosses it when he's doing it. My son beneath him, he's got some form of OCD. Like everything must be done. Like he's militant with it. I don't need to worry about him. He will do the thing. I wish I could get a middle ground between them two. Be beautiful. But my son kind of started secondary school, kind of being a bit lackluster. So I was like giving him the whip, saying like, "You've got to do this."
Not the physical
Not
whip.
the physical whip.
Not
No
episode
beating,
6
yeah.
whip. Yeah.
No beating there. And like we were walking the streets, and I was like, "Gabriel, I want you to do something. Yeah, take note of how many homeless people you see, and take note of how many are men and how many are women."
Can I ask how old he is?
He's 12 in December.
Okay, so old
Yeah.
enough to...
Yeah. So I was like, take note. And we went through town, and he was taking note, and I said, "So son, what did you observe?" And he said, "There's a lot more homeless people than I realized, first of all."
Yeah.
And he said, like, "I didn't see any women. I saw all men." And I said,
point.
"Exactly, Gabriel." I said, "That's a very important point." And the point I'm trying to get you to see, there's lots of levels to this, so I can't break it all down for you.
Yeah.
But there are reasons why you may feel, why is dad pushing me like this? And I said to you, the reality is society doesn't care as much if you're a man than if it does if you're a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the reality. So it's important that there are certain things that you must do to give yourself that security. So when I push you, I'm being real with you. Your dad's not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
But I want to know that.
We're only 1/10.
Yeah, one's exactly 1/10.
So you've got a long time.
got 9 10 left. So it's important that you understand that the things that I do for you. So when I'm telling you, done your homework, and I'm like, go and do it again. Underline the title, put the date on it, do these things. You might think, Dad, you're so silly. But I'm setting you up, son, because it's important you have those high standards, and those will carry you through.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Foundations.
Yeah.
Strict foundations.
But yeah, I agree with you 200%. Like, it's the stress.
So to come back to it, because you sort of touched on it, Terry.
Yeah.
I haven't actually moved on from this question yet either, so sorry. But you said relationships,
Yeah.
cause of stress. So round the room,
Yeah.
specific part of relationship, or what about it?
It's a good question.
It could be both things.
Yeah.
So am I progressing the way it should be compared to other people? So again, it's kind of going back to looking at your peers again.
Can I
like-
mention one important thing that we haven't said that I think
Yeah.
ties into what you're about to say and everything?
Yeah.
Again, probably the demon in some senses of society today, social media.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
social
exactly.
media is the big catalyst or fuel that shows everybody's best life and nobody's worst
Life, exactly.
And
Unless they want to portray it.
unless
Yeah,
they want
they
to
want to
portray it,
portray it.
yeah.
Those
And
Facebook messages
yeah.
sometimes.
and I think that builds that sense. And again, hope I don't get shot down by women here. I feel like lots of women tune in quite affirmatively to lots of the messages that come out on social media,
Especially
and
being
therefore they can
married.
look and be
Yeah.
like, "Well, wait a minute, this man here is 6'4", makes 500K a year. He does Mr. Olympia, and my man is just here on the sofa doing his construction job. Work, get up and do something better." You know what I'm saying? And then I feel like
Unrealistic expectations, basically.
unrealistic expectations. And then as men, because we can't talk about our emotions,
Yeah.
you just absorb that and say, "Shit, I got to do better."
And you started doing that.
I'm just,
I'm saying.
Sorry,
I'm just
I
trying to
couldn't
find-
help it.
I'm just trying to find the aging process, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Couldn't
All my
help it.
goal is like, if I touch 60 and I'm still lifting, I've won.
That's exactly that, bruv. Trust me.
Episode, can't remember, 4.
Yeah, so I'm saying, so obviously, am I looking at other people's kind of space and saying, should I be in that situation? But again, it just goes down to your own situation, like your own, like, how, like, where you're at now kind of thing. And so obviously that's a bit of pressure, and also pressure just, is everything right, basically? Is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to be in, if that makes sense?
Because it's very true what you say, because as men,
Yeah.
again, you have to be making the decisions, you know, I say, don't have to be, but I'm going to put this in traditional. If you're
Yeah.
a traditional man and you've kind of established that relationship, there is a lot of expectation on your shoulders. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
as human beings, you'll be in positions where you're like, is this the right decision?
Yeah.
You know, and that comes with a lot of pressure and stress itself.
And then, from my point of view, because obviously you guys with your kids and stuff like that, it's not about getting to big old 40 and making a stupid mistake. Not a
Yeah.
stupid mistake, but like
No, I get what you're saying.
No, don't
You feel
rush
like-
into
yeah.
things,
or
innit?
making or doing something that's going to cause you more stress. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
I've seen certain mans that were younger than me, and they obviously got into a relationship and they just look stressed, man. They look
Yeah.
like 55,
Yeah.
man, because like they get stressed out, man. And I'm not got through everything I've got to in life.
Yeah.
I've got to 40, and then blam, nah, man, nah.
Banda.
Kill me now, like literally. So
Yeah.
you just got to just about making the right decisions or choices. Because I have to admit, when I was younger, I didn't, and so I'm looking at everything in detail now, which I wasn't doing when I was younger, and I probably wouldn't be in the situation I am if I did that a lot when I was younger. There's loads of different things, not just relationships, just everything. And so
I think, gone.
I think that I was going to say, I think the thing is we forget that life also sometimes is a journey.
Yeah.
And I think the downs aren't great, but they help punctuate the ups.
Yeah.
You know, if we all just lived a placid life where everything worked out,
yeah,
life would probably be really boring. And I think just the reality of developing into a man means that you're going to have your downs, and then you're going to have those moments where you're really up. And I think it's that cycle of how deep is that down, and how up is that up.
100%, man. It's like
I'm just gonna. Oh, go on. Sorry.
It's like I don't see a thing as a loss. You can have many lessons. It's just if you keep on doing the same thing and there's no way out, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a lesson until you get the big W, basically.
100%.
In my eyes, that's the way I look at it.
No, I agree. I think there's always scope, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
If you're running into the same issue again and again, you wouldn't run into the fire again. Would you? You kind of learn from it. Just to come back on one of your points about, and I don't want anyone to lose followers or anything on the back of this because I'm conscious of all the comments that we've had back. But one of the things you touched on about being a traditional man and making the decisions, etc. I think even as a non-traditional, I'm seeing my followers go now. We still have to make the decisions. Yeah. And actually, I find it stressful.
So none of the benefit, all of the risk.
So it's like, when you think about it, when you're in a setup, again, in 2023, we have to be seen to allow the attempt to happen. So like, the Ninja Warrior thing, that's what I referenced to. They go on a little run. Some of them make it to the end of the course. Some of them get knocked off into the water. And then you have to pick up the piece from the water. Yeah. And then revert back to the traditional man, but whilst not being the traditional man. So I was thinking about it when you said that. I was like, yeah. You carry on running, man. But I don't think we're allowed to say that.
Yeah. Do you know what I think though is like segueing? I think the thing is when in my personal opinion, when I'm talking about making decisions, a decision is like the end point. Yeah. Before that decision end point, if you're in a healthy relationship, there should be a discussion. Yeah. I always still believe that two heads are better than one. I think the point that I think lots of people struggle with is understanding in a relationship sense that you may give what you feel is a tremendously valid point, and at the end of it, I may say, but this is the decision we're going with. Yeah. And taking that personally. But if you look in a lot of the businesses, they have a CEO and lots of people will come and pitch their ideas, and this one person will say, and this is where we're running with. Yeah. And that's what keeps the cohesion of the business going, because there will be times where it will conflict, and that's not because you guys hate each other, it's just because you see things differently. And that's the point I make. Two heads are better than one. So when I'm saying this, feminists don't kill me, I'm saying you should have healthy conversations, but generally speaking, you need one person to make that final decision. Yeah, if you're on the same page every time, brilliant, winning. But there's going to be times where you're probably not.
Do you know what I call the two people having a conversation? A beautiful thing. Yeah.
Rap.
Sorry, was you going to?
No.
Yeah? Okay. So, coming back to the survey. So statistically, 60% of men that completed this have discussed their mental health with someone at some point. However, unfortunately, 40% of men who took part in the survey had suicidal thoughts or considered self-harm. Yeah. This is a bit of a deep question. So personally, I'm aware of 2 people that have committed suicide. Yeah. Not close enough to them to have any sort of reference point, so I wouldn't even touch on that, but I have seen the impact that has had on people around them. I wouldn't say family, etc., because it wasn't close enough. Yeah. But I have seen the impact it's had on people. So I guess self-harm, I think, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in college, I was going to say it's quite a big thing, but it wasn't so much in, this is the controversial bit where I'm going to get shot, in the black community, more the white community. Yeah. So but I guess...
Do you know, sorry to cut you, but the thing is, so I still feel like the self-harm is there, but it's different forms. Yeah. So, go. I feel like you're going to say what I'm going to say.
Kind of like, you could self-harm in alcohol, smoking, eating, depends what your vice is really, drugs. Yeah. So, the
forms of escapism, 200%.
So, that's,
Well, that's what, I was literally coming to that.
Preemptive strike.
Yeah, guys. Finish him. No, not literally. That was the worst point to say that, wasn't it? Edit. I'm going for it.
That's gone, man. That's gone.
But what I was going to say is, when we think about the people that we hang around with and stuff, so I personally did I wouldn't say I had a drinking problem. I've never been
Yeah.
an alcoholic or anything like that, but I definitely got to a point where it was either way, and that's
Yeah.
why I chose to stop drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
honest truth. But a lot of people around me in the groups that I'm with probably subconsciously don't realize
They've got a problem.
that they have a problem.
Blatantly.
It's lifestyle, etc.
Obviously, working in central London city and stuff like that, you just see it, man.
All across the country.
Yeah, no, especially London, because like after work, you've had a hard day, massive project, and then all there is to do after work is a drink kind of thing, and people just get used. Back in the day, the girls were going out, like the girls in the office are going out like 4 times in a week, and they're back in like 3 bottles of wine before 7 o'clock.
Before 7?
Before 7.
Bomber
So I used to go a couple of times.
Those
stuff like that.
expenses again.
Yeah.
What?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm worried about what's going on.
I used to go a few times, but I used to go gym before, innit? So by the
I mean,
time
that makes it better, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I used to get there a bit later, and then everyone's like, "Hey, you all right, Ted? You all right?" One of them ones. But I kind of see it, and then it becomes a habit. Definitely, man.
I don't know. So from my industry, obviously,
Yeah.
I see people.
I'll be worried. I'll be worried.
Nah, do you know what?
At the
I'll come
other
to your
end.
point
Yeah.
once you finish about some people I know that doctors.
Yeah, so I see it like I see the patients that come in
Yeah.
with the sequelae, like the downstream effects of lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is you talk to some people, and I don't know. My general feeling is they know, but they bury it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, and it's only when, as a doctor, I'll be talking to people and I'll ask the questions. And I try and obviously, we never judge, I don't judge, but I'll ask the questions and you say things like, I've learned to answer questions and ask questions in a certain way. So I go to the extreme when I ask a question. So
Is
I'll
that
say
like training and stuff that you get for that? Or is it just like, sorry, I know that's...
No, that's okay. No, you do, but I think you kind of learn to finesse your own style. If that makes
There's that
sense.
finesse
So
word.
so the training was a bit more rigorous, but I think with my interaction with people, I've learned people feel a bit more comfortable and they're more honest with you if you kind of go to the extreme. If you start off like, how many times do you drink a month?
Yeah.
It's already quite bad if you have to say it's daily. So I just jump straight in and say, how many drinks do you have a day?
Yeah, that's better.
And
Probably.
and I find that gets a better reception. People can be a bit more, honest, and I let them kind of talk. And then when people start talking, I think it's just because they bury it in their subconscious. But when they verbally say to you, "I have 3 bottles of wine a day," as soon as they say that, you can see in their face like, "Oh, that's a lot."
Yeah.
Actually. And then you kind of keep progressing with it, and you say, so have you ever had any days without alcohol? And they go, no. And you kind of see it again in their face. I feel like you bring it out of their subconscious to their mind. And most people at that stage, I think themselves are in a place where they're thinking, now I've got a choice to make.
Yeah.
Am I going to want to try to do something about this? Or am I going to continue to just put it back in my subconscious? And I think, again, not judging people, that comes again with life. Everybody has different lives.
Yeah.
And sometimes making you get through life and suppressing, all of the stresses around you, that is, your vice.
Yeah.
Your escapism. Taking that vice away could mean actually, I'm going to take my life. That makes sense.
I guess I was going to ask the question, have any of you had any experiences, and I guess it's comfort levels as well.
Yeah.
Any experiences around suicide, whether people you're aware of and was there any specific triggers or anything that or was there even anything yourself? No, obviously that's...
Yeah.
I'll put it out there. I've never thought suicidal thoughts. I've never. But I think when I was in college, probably there was times where I had felt like if there was some form of pain, numbness, it might have been a bit of a relief,
A break.
almost.
Yeah.
So I never did self-harm. The thought of I was involved in an incident when I was younger, which involved a blade and myself. So the thought of picking up anything sharp and trying to do something to myself after that incident didn't really ever feel like something I would do. But if I'd, I don't know, punched through a wall or something, not through a wall, not you, I'm not that big, but that kind of action or something kind of used to be a trigger when I was either angry or frustrated on something.
Yeah, I get that. I've had a close friend that didn't really see it because they were happy as Larry and stuff like that, but one day they just took some pills and overdosed.
Was it
A guy,
intentional
lethal?
or?
Intentional, yeah.
Was it lethal? Is he?
Died. Yeah. But we never saw it because they always came across and they wouldn't talk to us.
Yeah.
Found out the person had quite a lot of like money issues.
Is it man?
Yeah. Gambling. They were trying to get that win a bet.
Yeah.
For like a bit of money, and then they'll bet it and bet some more money, and just it was like up to his eyeballs in debt. But obviously he's a proud person and stuff like that, and didn't tell anyone, and then it just took his life, man. It's just sad.
I think
No
that
kids
speaks-
or anything left behind, or?
Yeah, a couple of kids.
I think it speaks volumes to society and the statistics.
Mm.
You know, in that, as a man, you're expected your world could be blowing up around you, and as a man, you're expected to still be a pillar of fortitude and just man up. And it's a tough one because, realistically speaking, if he did feel comfortable, let's say, just theorizing that he could open up or, you know, seek professional help, would he still be here today? You know, we don't know.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's why it's important to have more conversations like what we're doing about, you know, men's mental health and to bring it out in the open forum. I think for me personally, I wouldn't even say he was, so reflecting on myself personally, probably the most turbulent parts of my life were when I was really young. When I was really young, I say like sub 20, I felt like I didn't have an identity. Yeah. I was like just trying to figure out what life was, you know, and figure out, you know, who was looking after me, who my parents, you know, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I agree with exactly what you said. I guess reflecting, taking my life never really came into my head, but I agree, a mindset of thinking if there was something that could cause numbness, then that probably may have been something I would have entertained.
Yeah.
And it took me, I guess, just time to learn more about the world, figure out myself, kind of teach myself. And just as life goes, you know, unfortunately, for some of us, there's not a path laid out where the hedges are trimmed for you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to walk and scrape your arm, cut your elbow, and you learn, you know. Hopefully you pick yourself up and say, okay, don't do that, do this. And since then, it's been mood. Obviously, I think everybody's mood goes up and down. I see my mood as just being normal. There'll be days where I'm like, great, this is fantastic. And there's days I'm like, fuck this shit, it's long. But I think there was a particular guy, actually, I guess, who, I knew, basically kind of like knew him through somebody else, basically. And just from like the informal interaction I had with him, he seemed a bit off-piste, a bit off-key, very like agitated when you talk to him and stuff like that, you know. But he had a daughter and he said he split up with his girl and, you know, he was trying to manage that situation. And then like one day, because my friend was basically renting a room to him, and then one day like he just disappeared, like, and my friend showed me like a WhatsApp message stream he had with him saying, "Oh, look, I'm looking to take my life," and you know, and I was like, "Right, you're his landlord. He's really got no one around him because the landlord wasn't like pally with him like that. I was like, he's got no one around him. He's
To have that conversation.
So he's having it with you." And he was like trying to talk him down and saying, "Oh, seek help," and stuff like that. And then he was just gone. And then like my friend was like, "Oh, look at like what the room was like." And when he opened the door, he opened the door. You couldn't open the door. When he finally opened it, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Like there were, because the house was shared, is probably why he did it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many cans of beer was in that room. Like the floor was covered. Wow. It was in drawers. It was like everywhere. The bed was one of those Ottoman beds. When you lifted it, there were more cans. So it was like, he obviously probably felt like, I guess in his subconscious knew he was drinking too much.
Yeah.
And he lived with other people. So wait a minute, I can't keep bringing all these cans
Keep
downstairs.
them
So I
in
just keep them in my room. Come home with my beer, put it in my room, keep it in my room. And I was like, wow, that's a real dark place to be in. Like even in your own home.
Having to hide. Yeah.
Having to hide. Yeah.
It's that numbness again.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Sorry, I know that was a bit deep.
Yeah.
But, these are things though, isn't it, right?
I think it's
It's
important
happening.
to have, like I said, these conversations and go to this level, because I think there has to be some form of normalization to understand
Correct.
that, you know, it is normal. We
Everyone
have
goes
moods.
through it.
Yeah, everyone goes through it. No, you know, life isn't perfect, and understanding what's normal and then what is abnormal, I
Yeah.
think is important. Knowing that, you know, today mood isn't great.
And no small problem it's not a small problem. It's a problem. So
Exactly.
just bear that in mind.
So one of the things we've actually talked on, and it's interesting because it actually flows here. We talked about, well, you've just literally touched on it again about what's a problem, what isn't a problem, etc.
Yeah.
So I guess in terms of you guys, I'll start off. Have you at any point potentially caused a mental health issue for yourself? So
Yeah, go on.
yeah, so one of the things I did, I hardly ever take time off work. Like I think since I've been working, the most time I've had off is paternity for my kids. That's it, and probably 10 days somewhere. So I'm quite relentless, and I don't really book holidays either.
Yeah.
Like time off, I mean, off.
Too much emails when you come back.
It's not worth it.
So I'm saying.
But that's something that I'm aware of. I referenced in the gym episode about I'd got to a certain weight. That day I couldn't get out of bed. I'd actually had almost like a mini breakdown that day. And that was all my own doing because I knew my engine was running low. You know, I had a young child, family, etc. I was never home. you know. And but one of the things that I reflect on now, I got signed off by the doctor. So that day, I completed that day and I just didn't feel right. So the next day I went to the doctor on advice, not something I would have done myself.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, I'm suffering with stress and anxiety. I need to take 2 weeks off. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't do sick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never off. If I'm off, it's because I'm flawed and I can't physically get up. But on this occasion, I needed that rest and I didn't take it. I actually was like, I got signed off and I thought about what the people at work would say if I was like, I'm off for 2 weeks because I need to go and heal.
Yeah.
And some of the perception of that, I remember, again, like I said, I deal with absences and stuff. And we had this one absence case where the person was advised to go and do things they enjoy. And they'd posted it on Facebook that they were, I can't say what it was because it'll be obvious, but they were basically putting it out there that they're having a good time. And the manager was like, well, how can they be fucking sick? Like they're out there raving it up and doing this and doing this. And so that always stuck with me because I had to manage that specific case. And I was like, well, if I wouldn't put it on Facebook, obviously, but if I'm out in wherever having a good time and all this, what's the perception?
Just don't post it on Facebook.
I wouldn't anyway. But I mean, like, you know, so I put all these different conclusions into my head that nobody had put in there. It's just from experiences that I'd been a part of. And I'm pretty sure even today, I'm probably still feeling the impacts of not taking that time because, like, you know, when you've got kids and all that, your time off is not really time off.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I think I've done to myself is that I haven't allowed myself the opportunity to, like what you said, almost process things, etc.
Yeah, you have to, man. Have to.
So, yeah.
200% agree. I think you touched on a strong point. It's very easy, in a sense, to, especially as a guy, to bury yourself in work. I think that is also in itself another form of escapism as well. Because I think we can easily become defined by our jobs and therefore just do everything in that sense. And again, I think your case also speaks volume to that echoing voice in society. Like, don't be a woofter. You know,
Woofter. I've not heard that in years.
woofter. Yeah, you know, you have to get out. Like, and the thing is it's wrong because everything you said is perfectly true. If you are stressed and anxious, you need that time to actually clear your mind and to actually find some happiness.
You do.
And although we all know this, we also know equally if certain people at work caught wind of you being off with anxiety and stress, see you happy, they're going to say, they won't say it to your face, but they will say, and the echoes will murmur around,
Yeah.
Look at this guy. He's out here while we're having to do his work, and he's out there.
He's out
having
in
fun.
Dubai.
Yeah, he goes, living his best life.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So yeah, I think again, it speaks to a deeper problem in society that
No, it does, man.
kind of, I guess, I don't know, we need to work on. But the thing is, mental health is such a complicated thing, and it's so personalized. And that's why I think what you said is
Ooh,
important.
that is
How can I tell another man that your struggle isn't real? It's your struggle. Do you get what I mean? And can't see somebody else telling me that my struggle ain't real.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's our lives, and it's what.
Yeah.
You didn't have to add the 20 kg on, that's why.
Yeah.
He's looking at me
Always
serious
have
there
to.
as well.
Up it. Yeah. I think from my point of view, I think, I've done that. Like, my personal experience, it was when my dad died, I didn't take the time out to mourn. And because my dad had cancer, and he died 2010 now, about April. But I'm trying to be like the tough man, because obviously I'm the only boy and stuff like that. I try to just take all the burdens on myself. And do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's times like, obviously I was helping out mums and doing whatever work. I was working as well. I only took a few days off for obviously to sort out the funeral and stuff like that. And like, I was doing like long hours, and then I'll just go home and I'll just drink, because I was trying to not trying to think and mourn, because I know as soon as I started to really think about it and stuff like that, I would start crying and stuff like that. I didn't want to come across as weak.
Yeah.
And also had a bit of a guilty thing, because I never really got to see my dad before he died, because I went out, because I thought, you know, like, dad says, come and see me and stuff like that. It was just like on Easter weekend, and he was like, yeah, come over and make sure that you're here for Easter dinner and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, I went out the night before, and I got trashed. Obviously, you and your boys, I was young, innit?
Yeah.
And I said I'll go and see him the next day, and then there wasn't the next day, and so that always kind of was in the back of my head, but I never told anyone about it, and I just had that guilt on me, and I never really took time out. And it, like, years later, where I was just like broke down and stuff like that, because I held it in for so long, because I didn't want to come across as like some little crybaby and stuff like that. Even at the funeral, I really like was compelled to cry, but I just couldn't do it, because I wanted to like be strong for my mum and stuff like that. And so I kind of caused myself an issue. I started drinking a lot, because obviously I was trying to not have that thinking time where I would get into that place. And so, just let it out, man. As I always say to anyone, when a loved one dies, just let it out, man. Just make sure you cry more and cry as much as you can, man, because end of the day, it will come back and bite you in the ass.
Do you, I mean, it's a deep question to ask, I know.
Yeah, go on.
But do you feel you've now kind of like, that period of time that you kind of you beat yourself up over, have you kind of like
forgiven
moved from that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely forgiven myself, because, you know, my dad wouldn't want me to be in that state, and end of the day, I'm a human being kind of thing, and like, shit happens basically. And obviously I was not like I wasn't there at all. I just didn't get there in time, but I was there for the rest of it and stuff like that. So I think certain times it's just really hard on yourself, especially when obviously life and death, and you don't get to see someone like again. So just say, let it out, man. And I never really spoke to anyone about it and stuff like that. Actually, I did speak to someone about it, and I'm not going to say who this person was. And then they kind of threw it back in my face afterwards. And so from then I was like, do you know what? Fuck everyone. I ain't talking to no one again about it again. So I kind of judged everyone on that one person.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that I was going to say to you while you were talking about being able to express those emotions. It's easy for me to say, because in my head I was like, we could do that. But then I thought, but shit, that's the problem with the world, is you almost have to, I think, I'm bouncing around a bit. I was hearing somebody say that it's important to have a brotherhood. I can't remember who was saying it, I can't give them credit. And I was listening to them thinking, what do they mean? And when they said this, a brotherhood of similar-minded people who you can sit down and you can just be frank as fuck with and know that everybody around that table is frank as fuck.
Yeah.
And that allows for a great forum for you to be able to express, to be able to open up, and it be a safe space to do that.
Do you know, I was going to say, and this isn't a plug. This is not a plug. But that's how I feel in this group. Because actually, one of the episodes we did more recently, the stuff that was coming out, the stuff we've said on this show, I can't say outside of here.
200%. I've said stuff that I literally won't say anywhere else. And
I think the podcast of therapy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, someone did say it to you, innit? Yeah, it is therapy.
It's true.
But I think, you know what you said there, I think is very important. I'm going to use your thing, 200% beautiful thing, because I think what happens is we think we find that group when we're younger.
Yeah.
And we say, we hide it. And I think this comes on to another episode that's coming up, but we talk about...
I was about to say that as well.
You're my boys, you're this and this. And actually...
They're not.
Is it they're not, or is it, to your point back earlier in this episode, we're in a different place.
Yeah.
So even if they want to be, can they be?
Yeah.
That's for that one.
That's for the next one.
That one. Yeah.
Tune in.
It wasn't a plug, but there's your plug. Suck it.
Seamlessly blended.
Nicely done, man.
And it's not even written down. But no, I just wanted to jump on that because I think one of the brotherhoods I found, which I'm removed from now, is playing football. Because you go through those games, the rain, the snow, the this, and even if it was just sitting in a chicken shop with the boys from the ends, you were having that. You get your 12 wings. That's a lot of time.
Yeah,
a lot of therapy.
I think that's missing though nowadays as well because people are just
online gaming took that away.
Gaming and people are just on some next level. But that's
I try. Then that's a good point, and that's the thing I completely forgot about. But I look back and think that has been, and I guess I feel like this might seamlessly move into something else. Is like how you manage mental health, and I think when I look back at the toughest periods of my life, the things that have allowed me to continue have been. Gonna plug another episode. Has been the gym.
Yeah.
How the gym saved my life. Go check it out.
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Not that we've not referenced it 20 times today.
And playing football. And what I recognized it was with football was exactly what you said. It was like a brotherhood. And I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like I actually ever spoke about anything that probably was truthfully troubling me. But I just felt like we could just talk about shit.
Yeah. You need that.
And you can't even do that now, can you, really?
Yeah, you can't. And that was, to me, a beautiful thing. You'd go, you'd give yourself, you run yourself over the coals for 90 minutes with 10 other men and plus your subs. And you come back, you'd shower off, you'd sit down, you'd eat your wings or whatever, you crack joke, take the piss, rip each other, and
100.
You'd feel blessed.
You need
I'd be ready for the
that,
next
man.
week.
And if you did that weekly, when you think about it, we would do, I used to play 2-3 times a week.
Same.
So you're getting that bit. And like you say, when you're chatting shit, because let's be honest, sometimes we talk about girls, talk about anything. I mean, the premise of this is around, short back and size, barbershop thing. And that's one of the things we said, isn't it? Like, you can't, and when you think about it, where do you do that? Where do you do that now in 2023 as a man? Because women have their, I'm going to get shot.
Basically every opportunity.
No,
do it in the
do.
bathroom, they can do a little
Different
download.
things. But there's different
Nails,
things.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example. We just relocated, and now I'm going to make myself sound like a prick. I'm not swapping my phone numbers with the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in anything he wants to say. He cannot see this episode because we're going to be there for a while. But now I'm
already
thinking about it.
Feuds,
but he's actively making an effort. Extra. I have to be honest. I was just like,
not interested.
I'm not feeling it. But I've just sat here and said what I've said.
Do you know what? It's because there's no new friends.
Drake said it. No new friends.
No new friends. There's none at all.
So much energy, and like you got to get to know me, and I got
someone.
to get to know you. And Like, and then what level of friendship are we gonna have? You know,
Am I gonna like your jokes?
yeah.
Long run.
So it's like you look. I look at all of those levels, and I'm like,
Can I be bothered?
I'm not feeling it.
That's
You
what I'm saying,
know,
it's long.
love, you go do what you do.
Yeah.
I'll be happy in my office. Yeah.
Do you know what the difference
So I
is?
do think sometimes we probably do shut some doors.
He said to me the other day, I saw your light and you didn't answer. I was like, Alexa, turn the light down. Alexa, dim the light slowly.
Do you know what the difference is though? Between men and women? Do you know what the difference is? Women can fake it better than men can. No, as in, no. As in, like with situations with like, making friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If I don't
They
like
can.
someone, you can sit in my face.
Yeah, it's straight. It's there.
I'm
Like,
not even bothering, man. Trust me.
I can't. I'm too old now.
That's what I'm saying.
So much energy.
Sit on my J's, bro.
Yeah, I
Trust
would.
me.
Happy in my boxers,
That's what I'm
on my
saying.
J's. I'm happy.
I have to close my blind every day
Who
because
doesn't
like
shit?
looking through.
Oh shit, it's home. It's gonna be knocking any moment. Fucking hell.
I didn't know people in the Midlands knock on each other's doors.
There's some benefits to living in London, boy. Neighbours don't give a shit about you.
Even if you're dead.
Yeah, I'm
That's what
telling
I'm
you.
saying.
There's been a smell coming from number 20.
You're cooking that dirty food again. So look, we're coming to a close now.
Yeah.
So
Can I say one thing?
yes.
And I'm gonna kind of throw this at you.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna throw it at both of you guys. Actually, so I guess we've talked a lot about like mental health as a general, and we've kind of narrowed in a bit about being ethnic. So a question, bit of a controversial one at the end. Do you think that there is more pressure applied to a man of our persuasion
Yeah.
from black women versus man's already started choking versus a white woman to a white man?
So Wayne, firstly, thank you for making me lose the remaining 12 black female followers that I have.
Well, I knew you. I love you. I gotta help you out.
I'm losing my like. No one even cares I'm a lighty anymore. Wayne. Do I think there's more pressure? So this is going to sound really bad. At this point in my life, no, because I'm not associated with any.
Yeah.
If I go, do you know what? That's a difficult one to answer. I think there is a piece that in the workplace, potentially, there is more because they see me as a, look, I'm twitching now. I think there is a reference point in the workplace that says that I am of a certain ethnicity, look, etc., and therefore some of the actions I take or more direct affirmative actions are perceived as against certain people or communities
Yeah.
or something like that, even though it's absolutely fucking not,
Yeah,
because
it's
the decision I make goes across the whole business.
Whole bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I don't look at it and say, "Do you know what? There's 12 black people there. Let me just make sure things are a bit more
Be
difficult."
marginalised.
Yeah,
I had to
yeah,
go for it, so they should fucking go for it. As well.
yeah.
Trust me.
But I
Hairs on your
think
chest.
one of the pressures I do see from, which is weird, from black women at times is they expect me to be like a reference point or a role model for younger
Yeah.
black people, etc., or ethnics.
Yeah.
That's a pressure that I don't get.
That's a really good point, actually.
I don't get that from the white community. And then in terms of any other sort of form of, whether that's friendship or relationship, etc., I think being visible is something that I seem to get a lot of pressure to be. I don't quite understand why. Not in a I don't know how to explain it. Just to be visible. And I don't know if that's because of perceived status or whatever.
Yeah.
I think from my point of view,
White girls just happy.
from what I've seen,
Man wants his Sunday roast cooked.
potatoes, that mashed done.
Oh, you don't
nicely.
like roasties, bro?
Oh, mate, love him. Love a
Not
good
fat.
roasty. Mate,
Not for you, though.
that's Monday.
Too many back.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I would say from what I've seen, so people in those kind of setups and stuff like that, it's almost like they're trying to want them to be Superman, like be holy, be a thug, be
Role model.
500k,
Oh, you mean, okay.
be wedge, be considerate, just like loads of unrealistic demands, basically.
Yeah. I guess I have to answer the question as well.
Yeah.
Set myself up.
Doc.
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah.
Should we
I
all
have
look
to say-
intently?
No, I have to say, I think the black community, the black girls are harder on black guys. I think
Yeah.
if the general consensus is, I think if I'm thinking about the expectations, I think they're high regardless for women versus men.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm comparing the races, and I agree. I think I said this before. The voice I generally get is that these guys need to be demigods. You know, you need to.
Yeah, exactly
And then
that.
also, again, because I feel like, you know, we're obviously marginalized and we're integrating into society, there is this also, and I think you said it beautifully, there's this next thing that we also have to do. So we can't just be full, like, in the system. We still have to keep that fug, or that we have to have that edge,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I need to be fugged out. I need to also know how to put my suit on. I need to make
How to
500k, how to cook, clean. You have to look and say, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I guess I can't, like, somebody wants, there's a difference between saying, I want something, yeah, and then saying, but am I going to get it? You know, you can set your standards sky high if you're prepared to say, well, they're there, but in real terms, that's very, very unlikely. If I see this guy, then I'll accept that. And I think it's the case of if you meet a man and you start trying to mold him and be like, no, you can do this and do that. So, but I have to say, yeah, I agree. I think black guys get a harder time.
I think there's a thing though, because I think we're quite. It's funny because visually, I think if you see any of us individually, you'd have a perception, and then I think if you see us as a group, you'd be like, "Oh, that's the weirdest boy brand I've ever seen." Right? So there's all of that, and I think probably the pressures that are there is because there's not many like us.
There's not at all.
True.
When you put it as for what it is, if you see the version of me outside, it's not going to be the same as you.
It's true, actually.
It's
It's trailblazing.
perceptions.
Yeah, it's just true. I think, and I agree. I guess I'm giving the girls a hard time. I think we probably also then would place a lot more pressure on our shoulders as well, equally.
I think there's another thing as well, is that like, what is the expectation? I mean, this is off piece, but you asked that question and you said those things. What's the? I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. I need to numb myself.
Is he not okay?
I need to numb myself. I've done the whole thing without doing it. Yeah, this one comes along. Even my watch was buzzing. You were in a deep moment. I didn't say shit. I didn't even look.
You might affect man's mental health now, bro. You know that?
No need for this shit. But one of the things I was going to say is, thanks, Terry. One of the things I was thinking as well. So we put ourselves as a specific type of person.
Yeah.
And this is to try and get some followers back now. I wonder what a black girl would think of our expectations of them.
Oh, that's a good
Because
question.
if you think about it, if I was a roadman version of me, I just want somewhere to sleep.
Yeah. That's true, innit?
That's what I'm saying. Someone
I
to
can-
cook, sleep,
That's
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
bro.
stash your shit.
I'm not even expecting you to cook because I'm getting chicken.
I just
So-
need to sleep. It's true.
But yeah, I thought I'd just throw it out there.
That's
so
a
look,
really good question, actually.
Yeah.
Damn.
as we're at the end now, we've actually overrun quite a bit. So
Oh, snap. Shit.
sorry. But so I just want to put it out there. Some of the signs that are referenced in the priority report to look out for, because I think it's quite important. We've talked about mental
Yeah,
health.
100%.
If you're
Some
watching this,
resources and what to look for.
so I've put 10 here. I won't do numbers, but we've got they constantly worry, expressions of feelings of sadness. They're withdrawn, which I think is always quite a big one. I've noticed that in quite a few people.
Yeah.
They have difficulty focusing. Please stop looking at my foot. Tired or fatigued, which I think is all of us. But
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm reading this list and I'm like, shit, that's me.
bro, I read it when I got to the end. I was like, shit, I need help.
I need to go to priority
I need to be one of those 32% and
number?
call up. If I was good, I would have given them that, but they're not sponsoring the show.
Yeah.
Where's the QR code, man? Come on.
Thank you, Terry. Not all technical specialists here, Terry. Headaches, which I didn't know, if I'm honest. To your point, substance use. Angry and irritable. Overworking, something we've said. And sleep issues. So those are kind of like some of the main triggers to look out for. So Any final thoughts? We'll go around. Start with you, Doc.
So, mental health is huge. As I said, it's the foundations from which all health is built. If I'm honest with you, our minds are beautifully complex machines that science doesn't even know 1% of, really, for being real. And your viewpoint and your pressures are yours. And I think it's important. I think one of the things that we've all discussed here quite well is it's important, first of all, to recognize within yourself the signs that you're stressed and anxious, and to, make changes. We all have to work hard to make changes. And if you're struggling or you're stressed, I think it's really important to, even if you feel like it's difficult to talk to the people around you, there are, put my doctor hat on, there are lots of services out there that you can go talk to somebody impartially. They start even at your GP, even in going to your GP and saying you need some help. I think it's important to know that you're not alone. As we've described here, our moods have gone up and down. You're not alone. And it's something that is the cornerstone to you. And whatever it is, you can get through it, but you shouldn't try to do it alone.
Yeah. Touch on most of what Doc said. I totally agree with that. Everyone's unique. Everyone's problems are unique, and don't ever think something's too small to speak to someone about. Like, instead of obviously worrying about yourself, it's always good to get a second opinion and speak to someone. Nothing wrong with getting help. It's just that just shows that you're strong enough to have obviously taken the time out to think about that thought and reaching out to someone. So yeah, get help if you can. Speak to someone. Definitely, you're not alone.
Can I say it one more time? Beautifully said. Gonna have to try different variations.
Gonna make me choke.
I think, guys, firstly, thank you, because we've spoken on some deep subjects.
We've let a lot go.
We have, and I think some of the reference points and stuff that we made have actually made me think differently on things. So I don't think it's so much I'm going to add on what you said. I think one of the things I'm going to do on the back of this is some of those triggers that we've spoken about, some of those things, when I see it, just take 5 minutes out, 10 minutes out. Because one of the things I tell a lot of people at work is take that 5-minute break 4 times a day. Because one thing is that the world is a better place when we're in the right space. And I'd rather be missing for 30 minutes in a day as opposed to the whole day or a longer period.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
So,
I think just one point you touched on, and I think, to me, I've noticed it was really, really powerful. And that is, and you just touched on it again, is taking time out. Obviously within your means of what you can do. But I found the most ability for me, because I think at times, especially when we're anxious and we're stressed, and you're in the moment, it's all overwhelming and it's hard to process. I found that when I've taken time out, sometimes I've been fortunate just to book a flight and fly somewhere, just be there. I've had the opportunity to really dissect things down. And once you're in that space where you can do that and actually have the time and the space to process, it also drops your anxiety and stress, because you realize, oh, wow, actually, it's not as big as I thought it was in my head.
That subjective look, isn't it?
Yeah. When you're in the trenches, it's so hard to have 100%. That overview. So there's one thing I would also, try to recommend people do is take that personal time, whether it is you sit in a coffee shop by yourself or 100. You can do something bigger, just that personal time for your mind to try to allow it to process or even switch off.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. I'm going to count for the end of this and put a thing at the end of it, how many times I said it. And you said it. We'll have a competition. Yeah. No, guys.
I win.
If you don't, I'll be worried. Just don't lift me or anything. No. Thank you, guys.
Thank you
for taking part.
Cheers, man.
And that's the end of the show. Follow us on all the socials. No, we don't have that. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and that's at SBAS_show.
Also hit us up for just the audio versions across all of your favorite podcasting venues. What we got? What is it? Google
Spotify,
Podcasts,
Google, Apple,
they're all there. So
all
go
the major
support
ones.
your boys.
And if you do that, we'll get Doc to verbalize the movements that he does.
Yeah, true. I'm doing them and that.
We'll actually edit it in.
Yeah, I'll actually speak it. If you guys
Bit of
listen,
that.
I'm not doing it if you're not listening.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers.
people.
Peace.
Peace. Yeah. That was good, man.